Yeah, we'll try pulling this one out.
Welcome to the Pana History Museum. Today is September 18th, 2022. We are located at 38 Oak Street, Pana, Illinois. Today we will be interviewing Ralph Falconbury. Ralph?
Hi there.
Well, welcome to the Pana History Museum.
Good afternoon.
It's our pleasure to have you. Ralph graduated from Tower Hill High School in 1984. Then he was a Marine for 8 years, a combat Marine in Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Then Ralph went to work for the Department of Corrections, and he retired from Taylorville Prison. In the meantime, while he was in Robinson, Ralph had a martial arts school, and he trained a lot of awarded, would you say? Or,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, he was the real deal there. But one of the things that Ralph is noted for, and one of the reasons we're interviewing today, and we're so proud of what he's doing, is Ralph goes to cemeteries and he knows how to properly clean the gravestones and the plaques of the military veterans that have passed. Ralph, I know that you have to kind of know what you're doing without damaging the stones. Could you tell us a little bit of what made you get into that? Was it your because you were a Marine, or what prompted you to take on that project?
Well, being a Marine and also being a Masonic member, I just felt that it was something that needed to be done to show respect. To show respect for those that have gone before us. I don't know, it's just kind of hard to explain. Being military and being a veteran, I know where those people have been and what they've been through, and I think they ought to be shown more respect than what they're given now.
We agree,
You
without a doubt. Yes. When you clean one, I'm sure when you go out to the cemetery, you see a lot of people that maybe they had good intentions trying to clean them, but maybe they actually damaged the stone.
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
What kind of training did you need to properly take care of
Well,
that?
there are all kinds of seminars that you go to. I don't know if you can see or not, but here's the Illinois Historical Society's Illinois Heritage page that I'm on at one of the seminars that we go to. There are many workshops, seminars, things that you have to go to. You sit through like a 2-hour seminar on what to clean, how to clean, what not to do. One of the biggest parts of the seminars is what not to do. Because so many people will get out into the middle of a cemetery and they go out there with Dawn dish soap or bleach or vinegar, or their little homemade remedies. They're actually causing more harm than good. Or they'll buy some cheap product that they see on Amazon or at Walmart, and to save a buck, they'll clean great-granddad's headstone with that, not knowing that that is actually doing more harm than good. Some of the chemicals that are in there actually eat the stone. They'll do what's called sugaring, where it makes granules on top of the stone. You're actually aiding in the deterioration of that stone.
Wow.
They think they're cleaning it and they're not. Some of the chemicals that they'll put on there actually come with a like Teflon coating. It's like a rubber coating. You might as well spray the headstone with acrylic or something, and you're sealing that headstone. Those stones are porous. You need a biological chemical like what we use, which is called D2, which is actually safe and cleans the headstone. Very, very minimal evasiveness. It's killing the biological chemicals or the contaminants that are in there, like the lichens, the molds, the mildews. Those things need to be taken out very gently. And unfortunately, I travel to cemetery after cemetery and I see all kinds of bad methods, whether it's good intentions or not. I mean, I found pieces of steel wool and Armor All wipes from cars and stuff like that, where people will wipe the headstones when all you really had to do was spend $20 or $30 on the actual right chemical, squirt it on there, lightly brush it off, rinse it, let it do its job.
In our conversation earlier, you even told me that people actually put flour on the
Yes.
on the graves.
Yes, that was an accepted practice ages ago. If you look at like findagrave.com, picture after picture after picture, in order to get a clearer picture, because that was apparently what was important to them, was getting a clear picture, they would rub flour into the initials and into the names and stuff, the dates, so they could get a good clear picture. Unfortunately, that stuff doesn't come out of that headstone, even though you rinse it off. A lot of times it's soaked in because that stone is porous. It looks like it's gone, but it's not, because it's actually soaked into that stone. Then the sun will come out the next day and it bakes it into there. I've seen people use shaving cream, baking soda, baking powder, flour. Those are the wrong. If you don't know what you're doing, call somebody who does.
So folks, this is an excellent public service message for anyone, and we all have people with gravestones in the cemetery, all of us. I mean, it's part of life. And before you try to clean it on your own, get a hold of Ralph or someone like him, and they could set you in the right path to clean it properly and not do any damage. So thank you for that, Ralph.
Yeah.
That's
I've even provided people with the right chemicals. I was in Nokomis Cemetery a while back, and an older gentleman was there. I was on my hands and knees scrubbing up a Confederate's headstone out there, and he comes over and he's like, "Oh, that looks just awesome." And he was telling me a story about how he cleans his wife's stone, and he cleans it every 2 weeks, which is wrong. But anyway, you shouldn't clean it more than once about every 5 years, because if you do it right, you don't have to keep going back and going back. But he was using a homemade mixture of Dawn dish soap, vinegar, and bleach, all in a squirt bottle. And he, basically over the course of 2 to 3 years, he had almost obliterated her name and dates and everything of her information off that stone. It literally eats that stone. Vinegar is an acid.
yeah.
But it cleans really well, so he thinks he's doing a really good job. I gave him a bottle of RD2, put it in a squirt bottle for him, and I gave it to him. I said, "Here, try this," and leave it on there. About a month later, I went back to check on the progress of my Confederate stone, and I walked over to his headstone. Looks really good after a month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's simple effort, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're probably doing it wrong.
You have to consider the pH. Is that?
Yes,
Yeah.
the chemical that I use is called D2. It's D2 biological chemical, and it is actually, the pH balance on it is 9.5.
Okay, it's a little on the high side.
Yes,
I think water is 7. Isn't
right,
it?
water is a 7,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
But it's very neutral as far as the stones go.
Right.
That's the only thing that is allowed to be used in like Arlington National Cemetery, which is where it comes from. That's why we use it. That's the only, it's one of the only chemicals, well, I say chemical, but it's not really a chemical, it's just a compound that they've put together. That's what's used on the Arlington National Cemetery because it's been tested, and over time it does no harm. Whereas the other stuff, you can go to the grocery store and buy all kinds of chemicals, and it'll probably clean that stuff off your stone. It'll get the mold and the mildew off, but what it's actually going to do over time is increase the deterioration. You're taking life away from that stone. You're probably eating 10 years off that stone by being in a hurry or by saving yourself a few dollars.
If I wanted to get a small container of D2, how would somebody go about? Can you order it from Amazon? Or?
Yes, you can order from Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon's a little expensive. There are other websites that you can go to that actually specialize in it. Atlas Preservation is one. It's a really good one. If you're buying it in smaller quantities, you can buy a small squirt bottle, which will last you quite a while for like $20.
Okay.
You can buy the bigger ones. I used to buy it in the gallon jugs. Gallon jugs is like $60 to be delivered. I buy, if I do one of my fundraisers, and I'll like once every 3 or 4 years, I'll do a fundraiser and get as much funds as I can. I'll buy the big 5-gallon drums of it, and then I can separate it out. And it's not something that has to be used full strength. Everybody freaks out when they see $60 for a gallon. I can use that gallon. I'll dilute it 50-50 with water. It still works just as good. You just break it down a little bit. Another product is Orvis soap. It's a paste, and it's actually what the older women used to use to clean their quilts with because it was so soft and so gentle. Well, it will instant. If you don't know what you're doing, go to like TSC or Rural King and get a jug of that for like $32. That'll last you for 3 years. I've got the same jug in the back of my truck, and I've had that for 3 years because it's so concentrated. It'll get rid of the like dirt and the grime and the mold and the bird excrement and stuff like that. It won't get rid of the lichens and the mold and the mildew because you're going to need an actual biological chemical to get that out of there. But it'll do a wonderful job on your stone just by itself. Just a little toothbrush dab, put it in some water. That stone will look magical. That's $30.
Yeah.
You know.
How many, have you kept count of how many gravestones and plaques that you've cleaned?
Did, because of the interview, I looked at that the other day and I went back through and I want to say it's almost, I can't verify, about 3,200 that I've done now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, when I first moved back to the area, one of my friends who lives down in Florida, Trey Zipperer, started a website called veteransgraves.com. Wanted me to help him. I jumped on the website. He's made a website that we go to so that no veteran is ever forgotten again. He has a whole website literally for, you go to that headstone and basically you're adopting that headstone. That military person is mine. I'm going to take care of it from now on. You get a before picture, your after picture, any pictures that you can find of that veteran, from his birth picture, his high school pictures, his military pictures, any type of information that you can find on any of his history. You might find his World War II draft card. You post that in there. It's all of his information and it gets put in there. When I first moved back to the area, I thought, that's a great idea. I'll do that. I'll go to Tower Hill, where I grew up at. There's 176 veterans in Tower Hill. And I did every single one of them. I did Eiler, I did the Methodist, I did the cemetery, Knobs Church, Knobs Baptist up on the hill, all of those. And I run through and put all of them into those websites. Every one of them gets in there, and now because it's in there, it's something that the family members, that every once in a while, one of the family members will message me on Facebook and say, thanks for cleaning that headstone or whatever. Yeah. I'll send them their veteran's personal link. This is his page, and it's for him. And they'll send me pictures of, oh, well, here's a picture when he played baseball, or here's a picture of him when he joined the military, because I see you don't have that picture in there. And I'll post all of that in it, so it becomes a chronological page for that person. Yeah. And you talk about his military history, what battles he was in, or if he was killed here, or he was there. We talked the other day, speaking of Tower Hill, we talked the other day about the Congressional Medal of Honor winner.
Yes, amazing.
In Tower Hill. I had no idea that. I grew up in Tower Hill, graduated there in '84. Yeah. Nobody ever told me that there was a Civil War Congressional Medal of Honor winner sitting in Tower Hill. Yeah. I did not know that. As many times as I've been out to that cemetery, never had a clue. Never paid attention, really. But because I got involved in it and got on that website, and once I got in there and started looking around, I'm like, oh my God, this says, and then I start reading all the history about what they did and everything. Yeah. And to me, it's just, I don't know.
And things just keep adding on as you find out. Like, just for instance, we did an interview here of Jim Hicks on the history of the Pana Fire Department. And it was a long interview. It was like 36 minutes, and then we did part 2 and part 3. And I just sent him this morning. I was going through a book from 1880, and in that book, it said the first house that caught on fire in Pana, and who it was, and when he built it, and when it burned. And it says right in the book, this was the first fire in Pana. When did we do that? Interview was probably, several months ago, maybe 6 months ago. And then something new pops up. Yep. And I'm sure we'll put that on the video. So I know what you're saying. We do the banners, the military banners in town. And the family could send us, for the website, we got a QR code on them. And you could hold your phone up to the military banner, and if the family gives us the information, like pictures of his medals and where he served and what he did after he got out, just kind of the same thing that you're doing, we do that also, and maybe we could work together, help each other out on some of that stuff, especially when you start doing the Pana cemeteries.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that may work out pretty good.
There's plenty of them in Pana.
Yeah, without a doubt.